And it is yet another beautiful morning here on Good Morning Uganda. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda. I'm Olive Monica Najuma and I am your host this morning, but I am not alone. I am with the amazing three people that I do this with every single morning. Now, if you have just joined us or if you're joining us for the very first time, Good Morning Uganda comes to you live every single morning from Monday to Friday, 6:30 to 9 a.m. every single morning. So welcome, and I'm sure you're not going to be bored because we have so much lined up for you every morning. We will take you through the news that happened in the last 24 hours, and of course we will give you insights into the news that we have gathered for you this morning. And of course some people here like to take their coffee and like to take their milk, and the reason behind this is that they're trying to promote everything Ugandan. So have you taken your coffee this morning? I'm hoping that you have, and if you haven't, please pick up that cup of coffee and enjoy as we give you the best conversations this morning. Now, I said I am not alone, so I am with Chantal Olive Akandinda, Joram Paul Sonko, and Chirabo Robert Nyonyintono. Good morning, Chirabo.
A lovely morning to you. How are you doing?
I'm great. I am fine.
Now, the color you're putting on,
Yes.
This generation, for us when we were growing up, we had green, dark green, light green. Now, what is that green called?
This is called neon green.
Yeah. I want to bite my tongue. Because for us it was either you're putting on green, either you have light green or dark green. Today we have grass green, neon green,
Manya ash green.
There is so much that you've added to color.
Now, these
green.
colors have always
And
been
now we
here.
are
Emerald.
Emerald
okay,
green.
that one, green. Now, I wonder, in class, they used to teach us colors, simple, our days with the Fiona in school. It was either green, dark green,
Black, yellow, red.
black, yellow, red. But now, I don't know if they still teach colors. Because with emerald, neon, then what it would be a
Forest green.
Forest green, grass green.
You know you love to wear brown, and even brown has variations. But we won't go into that.
But I don't have my coffee today. You know what?
Why don't you have your coffee?
Well, I'm taking it at the National Drug Authority.
Okay.
To test and see if I'm taking coffee or I'm taking something else.
Why is that?
Because you know, when you take coffee, you must remain in your normal way. Sometimes you may lose sleep for some time. But when you see certain energies in your body coming up and they look abnormal, you have to have a question. And why am I doing this?
Okay.
Yesterday, National Drug Authority impounded coffee called L Power Coffee. Now, this simply looked like Arabic coffee, but after testing, it had ingredients that work on erectile dysfunction. So you would take coffee, but in one way or the other, when you become a superstar somewhere. So for you, you're taking coffee, and yet there
You become Mike Tyson.
Become Mike Tyson. And maybe even your partner would wonder what is happening. Honey, yet for you, keep on taking coffee. So I'm scared now. Let them first test the coffee I'm taking.
Before you continue with it.
Yes, because
but someone would think that every person, especially men, would like to become Mike Tyson at some point.
Man, you can. That is a topic of air, not for today.
Anyway, good morning, Chantal Olive.
Good morning, Olive Monica Najuma.
How are you? Your energy this morning, are you okay?
I am very well, thank you. How are you?
I am great.
I'm just trying to stay calm this morning.
Because you don't want to be Mike Tyson.
I was hearing the conversations of Mike Tyson, but the very same concern that Robert has raised was raised actually about a year or two ago, where people were mixing coffee with other things, apparently to not actually help with erectile dysfunction, but they were naming it something else that I may not be able to say on air. So yes, it actually needs to be tested so that you're sure that what you're taking is the real coffee. And if it should be mixed with anything, then that packaging should actually show that it's mixed with something and it's recommended by your doctor for you to consume. So I totally agree with you. We need to be careful when we are consuming this kind of coffee.
And it's not only coffee alone. We have so many goods on the market, and I don't know if Ugandans are in the habit of reading to see the ingredients of the product that they're taking. In most cases, we just go onto the shelf, we pick things, and we never notice what is in there. And sometimes we have allergies towards these things, but we don't know. So probably we need to start exercising vigilance by reading, reading the ingredients on the packages of the products that we buy, so that we know what we are taking and whether or not it is good for us. Now, Chantal, I am sure that you have something to share with us this morning.
Definitely I do. I landed on a story yesterday that is very, very concerning. Now, when I talk about concerning, I'm talking about health. And the health of Ugandans matters so much. And we're very well aware that malaria is a killer disease.
Yes.
Unlike before when we didn't have much information, right now we do. And you can't even cross over to certain continents if you actually have malaria. Yeah. So in the district, in the Lango sub-region, actually, according to reports, yesterday there was a report of 232,000 cases recorded in a period of 2 months. That is malaria cases, and that is very alarming. Though according to still research, this is around the time mosquitoes really breed a lot, and it takes me back down to, haven't we had these seasons happening before? What is the government planning to do? We've had campaigns that have been rolled out, but if we're still having such cases, then we need to revise these under the net campaigns that we are doing to make sure that Ugandans are safe from these diseases. We're talking about districts like Lira, Oyam, Dokolo, Apak, among very many others that are suffering with malaria. So I'm thinking we need to actually have something done about it, especially because we know some of these seasons that come with more mosquito manifestation in some of these areas.
The government has tried its best to handle the scourge of mosquitoes, but the challenge is there is laxity when it comes to communities. Some people have been given mosquito nets, and instead of using them instead of sleeping under them at night, there have been allegations that in some communities they are using these nets for fishing, which is really sad. And actually, according to the same report that Chantal shared with us, right now we are registering more malaria deaths than HIV deaths, and that is not acceptable at all, because malaria is manageable. If we do things right, we make sure there is no overgrown grass around our homes, stagnant water, sleep under treated mosquito nets, we can handle malaria. So we shouldn't be having more malaria deaths in the country. They should be going down and down and down to near zero. But anyway, that being said, Sonko, how are you this morning?
I am well, thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Olive. Good morning, Ugandans.
You've been very happy this week. I mean, on Tuesday you were telling us, this is such a beautiful week. I'm like, wait, it is just Tuesday.
6 in the morning.
6 in the morning. But how are you?
I started the week with positive vibes, if I should call them.
Okay.
Because I believe if you start a week on a good note or a high note, it will definitely give you good results. So I imagined if at all I started the week on a low note or on a low key, I wouldn't be as happy as I am today. So that's why I made sure that now, every weekend I have to, do some refreshment as a man, I should say. Try to prepare myself for the week ahead. I don't know why the rest.
I need to tap into the refreshment for the week.
Refreshment part.
The refreshment during the weekend.
Sonko,
I need to tap into that.
go ahead.
Sonko, please go ahead. I don't know why these people are kowtowing in your business. So what have you had this morning, Sonko?
What I've had this morning is Parliament passing that is the Narcotic and Psychotropic Substance Control Bill 2023, which does look at making sure that we control the use of cat and other narcotic drug substances in the country. I think this has been up for debate for quite some time now, for the dealers as well, and of course the legislators too. And as of yesterday, Parliament passed the bill, so it will be awaiting the President to assert it into law. of course. And of course, this will have to require the clearance of the health minister, though, before it can as well be passed to the president. And if you look at it, those who will be found in possession of the substances may face up to 20 years in jail or a fine of 1 billion shillings, or both. That is 20 years in jail and also paying 1 billion Ugandan shillings if at all you're found in possession of cat or any other narcotic substance in the country. So that is something that I picked up greatly because of the fact that those who actually use these substances, those who trade or sell the substances as well, are under the spotlight because they believe it is rather harsh on them to have this law put in place. But of course, due to the control of addiction and other related incidents and issues, Parliament passed this bill yesterday.
Well, Parliament is seriously not playing about narcotic use or even drug use in the country, and I'm here for it. We will be having such conversations here on Good Morning Uganda, and at some point we'd like for you to join us and tell us whether you think this is a move in the right direction. We'll let you know when we're having that conversation. And for me, what excited me yesterday is that the president of this country, that is His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, with his darling wife, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, will be celebrating 50 years in marriage. So they will be having a golden jubilee that represents 50 years in marriage. And the question here is, Chirabo, you are the married man here. Do you see yourself doing this at some point?
Well. With God, all things are possible. Because I want to tell you, I want to be very honest with you.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
Marriage is not for the faint-hearted. Now, yesterday there was a story that also disturbed me. According to police, the year 2022, you people, 2,000 babies were deserted or abandoned. 2,000! You know, when I had Luke Owesigire, that is the deputy spokesperson for Kampala Metropolitan, giving out these statistics, it was very heartbreaking. Imagine 2,000, that means 2,000 women got pregnant
and abandoned their babies.
And abandoned their babies.
Wow, that is really sad, but I will still not allow that to down my mood. Congratulations to the president and to Mama Janet Kataha Museveni for over 50 years in marriage. Marriage is not for the faint of heart, and if anything, you have showed this country that it can be done, and that people can actually celebrate many and many years in marriage. It's no small feat. So congratulations to you. Now we will be having a look at some of our local stories.
And we'll begin with Parliament passing a law against use of narcotics and related substances. Now, Parliament passed the Narcotic and Psychotrophic Control Bill 2023, which, among others, saves Ugandans from consuming illicit drugs. The bill contains 94 clauses, provides for a fine to a tune of 10 million or 10 years imprisonment on conviction of possession of any illicit drug, including narcotics and psychotrophic substances. Efforts by a section of members of parliament to save cat, commonly known as Mairungi, from the list of prohibited plants was futile, as cultivation can only be done after a license by the Minister for Health.
Now, looking into matters road safety, the Fika Salama operations have been reinstated by the police with the objective of addressing traffic violations and ensuring road safety along the Entebbe Express Highway. This initiative involves enforcing a speed limit of 100 kilometers per hour to discourage speeding and other traffic infractions, ultimately promoting a culture of careful driving and mitigating the occurrence of road accidents. The revival of these operations underscores both the police force's dedication and the involvement of pertinent stakeholders in augmenting road safety measures.
And a very interesting one, the Minister for Internal Affairs, General Kahinda Otofere, has disowned the Russian company that had been contracted to install digital number plates in Uganda. While appearing before the Parliamentary Committee on Physical Infrastructure, the minister shocked the committee when he denied having any knowledge of the company. The minister, accompanied by URA officials, denied before the committee he knew Joint Stock Global Security Company that was contracted to install the digital number plates. Members sought to know the credibility of the Russian company in charge of awarding the contract and its capacity to handle the task. Minister Kahindo Tafire distanced himself from the process that led to the identification or awarding of contract to this company.
And moving on, National Drug Authority has intercepted a consignment of L Power coffee at Entebbe International Airport containing erectile dysfunction drugs. National Drug Authority spokesperson Abiaz Ramwiri told UBC the consignment from Malaysia was being concealed as nutritional supplement. The intercepted L Power coffee at Entebbe Airport followed confirmation of laboratory samples found to contain tadalafil, drugs used to treat erectile dysfunction. National Drug Authority spokesperson Abiaz Ramiri said the research found that the chemical can cause cardiac problems, urinary disorders. All drug shops, supermarkets and pharmacies have been warned to stop selling L Power coffee. National Drug Authority, together with law enforcement, are investigating the case to ensure those who are responsible are held accountable.
Crossing over onto the international scene, we start with India. Now, India is looking to make history today with its third lunar mission set to land on the moon. If the Chandrayaan-3 is successful, India will be the first country to land near the moon's little explored South Pole. It will also be only the fourth country to achieve a soft landing on the moon. The US, the former Soviet Union, and China have all landed near the equator. India's attempt comes just days after Russia's Luna 25 crashed while trying to touch down in the same region. The country's earlier attempt to land its Chandrayaan Mission 2 mission near the South Pole in 2019 was unsuccessful. It crashed into the lunar surface, so all eyes are now on the third. And moving on, we cross over to China. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for an expansion of the BRICS grouping of emerging economies to build a more just and equitable international order, insisting hegemonism is not in China's DNA. In a speech delivered on his behalf at the start of the BRICS summit in Johannesburg, South Africa on Tuesday, Xi said China had no wish to engage in great power competition or create bloc confrontation. China stands firmly on the right side of history and believes a just cause should be pursued for the common good, Xi said at the business forum, according to remarks delivered by Commerce Minister Wang Wentao. She said BRICS would continue to grow whatever resistance there may be. And also speaking matters, Sudanese military factions battled for a third day over an army base in the capital, witnesses say, as both sides struggle for advantage in a more than 4-month war that has devastated the country. After the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces circulated video of its soldiers claiming to have entered the base and captured tanks, army sources yesterday said they had managed to drive them out. If the army were to lose Ahmad Corps base, its last stronghold in the capital, Khartoum, would be the army headquarters in the center of the city. Residents' committees reported displacement and deaths among civilians during days of clashes. And speaking matters climate change, 18 bodies have been found in the forested area of northern Greece hit by wildfires for the past 4 days. The Greek Fire Services says initial reports suggest these who died may have been migrants. A coroner and investigation team are heading to the scene near the Dadia forest, the Evros region of northern Northeastern Greece, not far from the Turkish border, has been ravaged by fires. A hospital in the city of Alexandropolis had to be evacuated. Newborn babies and intensive care patients were among those moved to a ferry at the port. Fires are raging across several fronts in Greece, whipped up by high winds and temperatures which climbed up to 40 degrees Celsius in several places as of yesterday.
Well, thank you so much for keeping it UBC and Good Morning Uganda. Now we will be looking at the newspapers. Which stories have made it to the headlines, to the top of our local dailies?
With our local dailies, the New Vision and the Daily Monitor here with me, I have a copy of each. Starting with the New Vision, the biggest headline that they do have this morning is Otafire questions car plates project. The minister says Russian farm non-existent and the cost is too high. Bigger questions in there with the New Vision today. Now, there are tough guidelines for students on foreign scholarships. You can find more of that report with the New Vision today. Then Parliament. Members of Parliament speak out on Sejirinya's medical bills. There is a detailed report of that. Now, about electricity, fourth turbine switched on at Karuma. That's good news for Uganda. Then a new curriculum, Senior 2 Biology, Senior 2 English and Senior 3 Entrepreneurship for the parents as students are back home for holidays. This is something that you would definitely be taking interest in. Then in regards to investigation by the New Vision, IGG probes the office of the Prime Minister over 9.6 billion Ugandan shillings spent on coffee shops. Then elsewhere, the business community protests new forex law. That is still with the New Vision today, as Sentongo redefined architecture in Uganda. There is a full story in the obituary regarding or rotating around Sentongo. As for the New Vision today, now elsewhere with the Daily Monitor, Kario torture cross, court tells General Kale Kaihura. That is a report according to what the Daily Monitor is highlighting today. Then science head teachers get pay rise. There's a big report coming in here. Now, in the perspective of homes, how to navigate shared spaces in co-housing communities. You can easily get more of that with the Daily Monitor today. Now, Hope, former ADF combatants and abductees acquire new skills. There's a big report there. As in the other news, Otafire raises red flag over digital number plates. Still, the Daily Monitor is giving you more details regarding the same matter. As bus strike leaves travelers stranded. Which bus strike is that? You'll find more of that with the Daily Monitor. Then how the new narcotics law will affect you. This was one after Parliament passing the narcotic bill yesterday. So the Daily Monitor brings you how the law, if put into place, how it will affect you as an ordinary Ugandan. Then 30% of Ugandans have inactive tuberculosis. This is according to the ministry. It's more of a report to look at. Now, with the lizard today, Busoga leaders back Nyege Nyege Festival as it is returning in November. That's it for our press review from the locals.
Thank you so much, Sonko, for the press review. Now, when we come back, we are going to delve into what best measures the government can adopt to curb the escalating pregnancy rates in the country. Yesterday, we saw a report that Bududa district is grappling with teenage pregnancy rates that are through the roof. So how can the government help us? What can we do as Ugandans to ensure that our young girls do not end up pregnant at a very early age? We would like for you to join that conversation in our newsreel when we come back. But for now, we are going to leave you with the inspiration song of the day, and we'll be right back.
Live.
And it is yet another beautiful morning here on Good Morning Uganda. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda. I'm Olive Monica Najima and I am your host this morning, but I am not alone. I am with the amazing three people that I do this with every single morning. Now, if you have just joined us or if you're joining us for the very first time, Good Morning Uganda comes to you live every single morning from Monday to Friday, 6:30 to 9 a.m. every single morning. So welcome, and I'm sure you're not going to be bored because we have so much lined up for you every morning. We will take you through the news that happened in the last 24 hours, and of course we will give you insights into the news that we have gathered for you this morning. And of course some people here like to take their coffee and like to take their milk, and the reason behind this is that they're trying to promote everything Ugandan. So have you taken your coffee this morning? I'm hoping that you have, and if you haven't, please pick up that cup of coffee and enjoy as we give you the best conversations this morning. Now, I said I am not alone, so I am with Chantal Olive Akandinda, Joram Paul Sonko, and Chirabo Robert Nyonyintono. Good morning, Chirabo.
A lovely morning to you. How are you doing?
I'm great. I am fine.
Now, the color you're putting on,
Yes.
this generation, for us when we were growing up, we had green, dark green, light green. Now, what is that green for?
This is called neon green.
Yeah. I want to bite my tongue. Because Russ, it was either you're putting on green, either you have light green or dark green. Today we have grass green, neon green,
Manya ash green.
There is so much that you've added to color. You know.
Emerald
These
green.
colors have always
Now
been
we are
here.
Emerald.
Emerald
okay,
green.
that one, green. Now, I wonder, in class, they used to teach us colors. Simple, our days with Fiona in school. It was either green, dark green,
Black, yellow, red.
black, yellow, red. But now, I don't know if they still teach colors. Because with emerald, neon, then what it would be a
Forest green.
Forest green, grass green.
You know you love to wear brown, and even brown has variations. But we won't go into that.
But I don't have my coffee today. You know what?
Why don't you have your coffee?
Well, I'm taking it at the National Drug Authority
Okay.
to test and see if I'm taking coffee or I'm taking something else.
Why is that?
Because, you know, when you take coffee, you must remain in your normal way. Sometimes you may lose sleep for some time. But when you see certain energies in your body coming up and they look abnormal, you have to have a question. And why am I doing this?
Okay.
Yesterday, National Drug Authority impounded coffee called L Power Coffee. Now, this simply looked like Arabic coffee, but after testing, it had ingredients that work on erectile dysfunction. So you would take coffee, but in one way or the other, when you be...
They taught the vacuum cleaner and the TV this new dance everyone's doing. They're really getting into it. And on Sunday, I went to bed watching the world from space.
With Airtel 5G's lightning-fast speeds and seamless connectivity, you won't believe what's next.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda. And if you're just joining us, thank you so much for choosing UBC TV this morning. We are here to inspire you, educate you, and entertain you. So every morning, make a plot with us so that you do not miss out on everything that we share with you every single morning from 6:30 to 9 a.m. in the morning. And I'm joined by Joram Paul Sonko and Chantal Olive Kandinda. And today we would like to look into the elephant that is in the country, not just in the room, but in the country, and that is the escalating numbers of teenage pregnancies. And we would like to know what measures the government can adopt to curb these escalating numbers. Now, this is against the backdrop of the high rates of teenage pregnancies in Bududa district. Yesterday, we saw reports saying that Bududa district is grappling with high rates of teenage pregnancies, that side of the country. But this is not new. That's why we are casting the net even wider away from Bududa. And we are asking the question, why are girls getting pregnant? We saw this happening during the lockdown, where hundreds of thousands of girls from different districts across the country came out pregnant. Most of these girls were between the ages of 12 and 17, which means that they were minors. So I will go back to the team and ask the question, what are some of the contributing factors to the rising number of teenage pregnancies, for instance, in Bududa district?
Bududa, I think if we start with Bududa,
Yes.
it's more like the eastern.
The eastern
We're
region.
putting the eastern region in perspective
Yes.
here.
Yes.
But I think it is everywhere in the country. Just that when you look at the cases in Bududa, they are way overboard. And when you mention what may seem to be the biggest case of this, I think it is the societal upbringing of most of the people within various regions in the country. How? There are some people, or let's say the boy child in most areas, once they click 18, I think we had this conversation where we realized that by 18 years of age, most of the boys are now seen as men to go out and conquer the world, start hunting on their own. Now, in most cases, the young girls who are actually falling prey to teenage pregnancies are either coming in from poor backgrounds and have failed to get into school. So poverty, to me, has become the highest factor in our kind of generation, leading to teenage pregnancies. Because as a matter of fact, with education, if parents have the money to take their children to education, for education rather, you get to realize that at least through that, they get exposed that they can still do something for their lives without getting pregnant firsthand just after they're into their adolescent stage. So I think, and parents have actually, welcomed the idea that if a child gets pregnant at times, they will be able to support them during that time, which is something that has led to the escalating cases of these pregnancies, especially in up country. But I also think, besides the poverty, the mere fact that not all of them are in school. Some of them actually break out of school during a time when, because if we talk about school, you do realize government has actually been putting up universal secondary education, or USE, then universal primary education in all these areas. But then there are some people who actually, there are some girls who get unfortunate due to circumstances that may be from the family background, like I did mention, poverty levels, and then drop out of school. Now, the dropping out of school means they are going to be idle and have nothing to do. Now, this is where the young men who are either unemployed or are just loitering around the villages and everything, in order to prove their manhood, will definitely be moving on door to door, looking for young girls, to disorganize in what I could actually use as a kind word.
Kind word.
Yes.
Now, there has been conversations regarding sex education, and even this morning before we came on set, when I mentioned sex education, one of our colleagues on set was like, sex? You want to teach children about having sex? But I would like Chantal to first of all tell us what sex education means and whether or not we have done right, whether or not we have endeavored to teach young girls and even boys about sex education, about sex and its related consequences.
Well, thank you so much, Olive. While Sonko was talking about some of the causes of teenage pregnancies, I couldn't help but keep resounding sex education in my mind. And for me, I would name it as one of the primary reasons, among others, that is really leading us to these teenage pregnancies. The truth is, before I even define it, if you went to some of these, or some of the younger kids right now, and said the word sex, they have heard it, and their perception is totally different from what you would expect them to have. Some actually have been exposed already, and then others are going to shy away because, one, it's been demonized. We will agree that sex has been demonized. Actually, even sex education has been demonized in the public. However, when you go back to when it comes to nurturing a kid and helping them, especially in development, you're going to realize that you're going to have some conversations with your child that are going to help this child make better decisions. So what is sex education? Just briefly, it's when you talk about sex education, you're talking about high quality teaching, where you sit this person down and you're teaching them, or you're giving them a definition of what sex is all about. And in this case, not teaching them how to have sex, but you are teaching them about different topics. Now, it comes to values, it comes to principles, it comes to consequences, it comes to effects, everything that has to do with sex. And of course, I would really call upon people that would want to have this discussion to do it in wisdom. You're not going to have a primary 6 child and you're having a conversation with this child that you would be having with an 18-year-old. Now, there is a point where you're 14 or 11 or even 12 or 13-year-old child or sister or person is going to come and ask you, Mommy, Daddy, or whoever, what is sex? And then if you, depending on how you handle that situation, that alone is going to, let me give you a plain example. A charcoal stove right there, and this kid is moving towards the charcoal stove. And you tell them, you just shout and tell them, don't go. You've not helped them understand why they shouldn't go.
Why they shouldn't touch.
Thank you, why they shouldn't touch. And then when you look away, they will actually go and touch. And then they will feel the heat. Yet you could have told them, listen, that place is hot. When you touch, you're likely to lose your finger. You're likely to pour the liquid on yourself. And this leads to this and this and this. And this child will understand better. Now it goes back down to development of this child. So what sex education is supposed to do. And when you talk about the topics, you're talking about human sexual anatomy. Now that is to another advanced level.
Human sexual anatomy. Understand your body. For instance, if you're a girl, understand the body changes and that you go through, the reactions. Or what if you're a boy, why do you feel like this at a certain point in the morning or during the day, whatever happens with boys. So that you understand that this that is happening to you is actually part of your body and it is not unique to you. And
you're supposed to, now this is the point where after having that conversation with these people, now you have to train them self-control.
But before we go into self-control, what are the other topics?
Well, the other topics to talk about could be sexual reproduction, and of course under sexual reproduction, depending on the stage as well, you have to talk about birth control. In a later stage, talk about safe sex, talk about sexual health itself, the consequences of having sex and how the kind of sex you're having and everything, and then talk about age of consent, talk about reproductive rights, very many others that we can talk about abstinence. So all these things fall under sex education. The only thing we haven't learned how to do is how do we group, or we do but maybe to a smaller extent, how do we group these conversations to structure them to help different age brackets for us to be able to achieve the main goal, which is controlling pregnancies, which is having our kids go through school without having kids out of wedlock. I mean, when you look at studies, you will be shocked at how many girls have had kids before the age of 18.
Actually, according to Uganda National Bureau of Statistics, 25%
Right.
of girls in Uganda are pregnant or have been pregnant before the age of 18. And this is a report, this is the current rate right now, but it's been like that
Since
even
like 2018.
yes,
around
since
there,
around
yes.
2018, and it is the highest in East Africa. So by just being the highest in East Africa,
Should be alarming enough.
it should be alarming enough.
It should be, but we've also, we need to also put the focus on the idea that most of these pregnancies are brought about by men above 20 years. It's very rare to find cases where these teenage
Age
pregnancies because of age mates. Why? Because even during this adolescent stage, simply because a boy child and a girl child are all going through unique changes with their bodies and everything.
And they're not getting the
you know,
guidance they should be getting.
because they're not getting the guidance in there. Because parents also rarely have time to even sit them down, or parents feel shy to share this information with them. Now, in most cases, the men who are above 20 years, 25, 30, the reason as why I use the word disorganizing these young girls' minds is because these are the men who are out of the world already. They've already faced the world. They know what they are doing.
Right.
And they know what they are instilling in these young girls. So to them, they know the repercussions of whatever sexual activity is going to happen. They know what is the outcome. We all know the outcome of intercourse is definitely reproduction in most cases.
Do they know, though?
If at all it's it's
The
unprotected.
men?
I'm saying the men do
20
know.
and
No, because okay, we are generalizing and saying that majority of these men are 20 and above.
Yes.
But even them, let's say maybe a boy, or okay, we call him a man who is like 19,
Yes.
straight out of the village or in the village, and all he knows is that at some point I'm supposed to have canon knowledge of a girl. Do you think he's really thinking
He
about
knows.
the consequences?
He knows.
And he knows that I'm
You know-
likely going to make her pregnant.
He knows.
Because
Now,
we have
He
had
knows.
stories where people are like, when you do it like this, someone cannot get pregnant.
No, the idea
you
about
realize that
pregnancy,
they
once
know.
they know there is a pregnancy part of it.
Thank you.
The mere fact that you know if you do it this way, there is no pregnancy, means you do know.
They have the
because
knowledge.
for the boy child, it's very easy. The conversation the boy child of 12 years can have with a 20-year-old, maybe the same a 20-year-old will have with a 60-year-old. Same conversations, they never change. It's only the women conversations that change at times. Because a 13-year-old may actually feel scared of sharing something with a
Oh,
20-year-old
yes,
at times.
that's true.
But for a boy, if you're 13, whether you're 15, you will be sharing because the topics are the same anyway.
And girls vis-a-vis boys, the body changes
Yes.
are totally different. Of course, there are some that we may share.
And you know,
here
boys
there.
love exploring, so they will definitely. So at times I feel, however much we put the sex education out there, we also need to look at these men.
So we
The way society has, because the reason as why most of the parents have bought the idea of taking their children to schools is because they want to hide,
Save them
you know,
from
save them from such men who are going to ruin their
Their
future
lives.
at a very young age.
But it is still not helping, targeting only girls. And this is the conversation we had last Friday, where a lot of effort has been put into making sure that the girl child is okay and
Yes.
safe, and then we abandon
The
the
boy
boys.
child.
Because if you take your child to school, because it has been said that one of the best ways to keep a girl child, rather to ensure that a girl child does not get pregnant or become married at a very early age, is to keep them in school. But some of these girls are in school and they're still being encroached on by men or boys that are not in school. So when we have these campaigns, we need to target the men too and have conversations with them and talk to the boys too, that when you have canon knowledge of a girl, this is the likely outcome. But we also need to broaden that conversation, because telling girls and boys that if you have sex intercourse you're going to get pregnant is not enough, because their bodies are on fire. They may still do it regardless what you tell them. Maybe we need to have more conversations regarding the consequences. What do you think, Chantal?
Definitely we need to, that is what I was telling you, when you're having the conversation about sex education, we are not saying go teach these kids how to have sex. No, we are saying, first of all, put this child or this person in a place where they know that you understand what they're going through, and they will be able to you'll be able to relate with them. After that, that is when you go ahead and show them the consequences of whatever action their body might be pushing them to do. And also I usually tell people it's not a matter of life and death. If you don't have sex, you will not die. You will not. And when you train this child from an early age to how to exercise self-control and show them the effects of anything that could happen. One, you know there could be diseases, especially for those who are reckless. Now diseases range from HIV to chlamydia to gonorrhea and all those gross diseases you can think about. I'm trying to be as gross as I can so that it really sinks in.
Paint the picture.
Yes. And then there is also early pregnancies. Now, early pregnancies, I'm telling you now, early pregnancies, you're going to be a school dropout. That is 1. 2, you're likely to suffer from fistula. If you're still at a young age and your body cannot contain it. Also, you're likely to die while you give birth because probably your body could not contain it. You're losing your life, your parents are losing you as well. Then also, think about a future where that man who impregnated you or that boy who impregnated you isn't, and you have to take care of that child on your own.
Because he's not taking you anywhere anyway.
Thank you.
He's not taking you anywhere. And actually we will delve deeper into that because I am passionate about that part. But you can join the conversation with us this morning. And the question we are asking is, what measures can the government adopt to curb the escalating teenage pregnancy rates in the country? You can join this conversation through WhatsApp. The number is 0709 602 2592, and if you are on the X app, the hashtag is UBCGMU. The question we are asking again is, what measures can government adopt to curb the escalating teenage pregnancy rates in the country? Join us on WhatsApp, join us on X app. We would like to hear what you have to say about this. Now, before Chantal was saying something about the consequences of early sex to, girls and even boys. And you see, when NGOs targeting teenagers are coming up with projects and campaigns to maybe keep a girl in school, they will go deeper and tell the girl, do you realize that, yes, you can have sex and you will probably have a good time. Do you know that you will get pregnant? Think about your dreams and the goals, because chances are high that when you drop out of school because you have a child, now you cannot attain the dreams. Now you're going to get into the harsh economy, and you're going to struggle to put food on the table for not only you but also the child. And the minute, especially in our culture, the minute you have a child, you're no longer a child. It matters not whether you're 15 or 16. The minute you have a child, in some families, they want you to get married. So we need to paint this picture broadly to the girl child and ask her, do you see yourself being a mother? Do you see yourself being a wife, taking care of a family, as you watch your age mates?
I think even the parents need to step up now. I would share an experience with my father's kind of sex education to me has always been stepping up to my responsibilities. That also making sure that if you are going into an action, make sure you know
you're ready for the consequences.
You're ready for the consequences. If at all, then abstain. Now, besides that, I think even the parents need to be because in most cases, there are parents who got pregnant at a very young age. That means they went through that experience and can share that with their children to let them know. But in most cases, again, they never, prepare their girl, children for such circumstances, or never sit them down to take them through everything. Because at least now, parents will actually, the fathers will actually tell you the economy is hard. So that means if you're getting someone's daughter pregnant,
be ready
to
work your heels off. and take care of that person.
Or either way, do not go into this. You know, but the problem is at times, whenever the young men are told about this, because they think they are wise. You know, the only challenge about...
I'll have a way around it.
Yeah, they think they always have a way around it. Either way, which way around it is abortion.
Which is also risky.
Risky to the girl child supply.
Yes.
Because the man is not even going to be hurt in any way.
In any way, yes.
And then the other way is running away. After the pregnancy, now for example, if someone is living in Bududa, once the child is pregnant, or once the girl is pregnant, his mind
comes
is,
to Kampala.
let me run to Kampala.
Actually,
switch off my phone.
In many cases,
Yes.
the boy's family will even aid his running
He's
away.
running away.
Yes.
Yeah, but what role does society have to play when it comes to curbing teenage pregnancies, especially when it comes to parents that have turned their daughters into businesses?
I was going to say, this is going to be collective effort. And what do I mean? While we are looking at how government can curb the teenage pregnancies, we can look at how communities and society can work with government and the available programs that have been put in place to enable these girls remain in school especially. So if you are a parent and you're not, I mean, there is UPE, there is USE, there is government-aided schools and all these things, try as much as possible to make sure that your girl stays in school. You get, if you are not doing your part as a parent, then you're also not helping the government and any initiative they are putting in place. Talk about having time for your kids and having these conversations with your child. If I asked a question, if your child came to you and asked you, Daddy, Mommy, what is sex? How would you respond to them? Don't talk to me. Get out of my face.
Where did you learn those things from?
Who told you those things?
The children
You're joining bad groups.
to even talk
So
about
your
this.
reaction,
You're joining bad groups.
your overreaction is now making the child even
More
more
inquisitive,
curious.
yes.
And their friends are already saying things to them. They're whispering things. Many of us even first heard about sex as sex from school. Our friends would tell us things because we come from different homes,
Right.
and different children are exposed to different things. So if you cannot teach your child, the world will teach them for you. Unfortunately, when the world teaches your child, you
They
have
will
no
not have
control
mercy, yes.
of what they are going to inculcate
It's a
into
harsh
them.
world.
It's a harsh world. So but still going back to the parents that have turned, because in some societies, like in Bududa, that report said that because of poverty, some parents have literally turned their girls into businesses where they marry them off to get bride price, maybe get some cows or some goats and start farming. So as a society, if I know that my neighbor is trying to marry off an underage girl, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
Yes.
Are there maybe people in that society, like maybe the chairperson or a committee that is responsible for some of those scenarios, that when you hear that so-and-so is marrying off their 16-year-old daughter, you're going to stop them? And at some point, there was a point where we were saying the child belongs to the government. Yes, you're the one who produced them, but at some
I actually
point...
think that is where even the local government fails. Because for me, I've realized government has done something. Not enough, but it has actually done. If you go to schools, majorly USE, UPE schools, you realize there are even signposts of abstinence
Say
messages,
no to early
say no to
sex, bad
everything.
touches,
Of
yes.
course, at times even schools have counselors who come and talk to some of these children or these students. But now, in context here is the local government, because this is where we have the local councils. Of course, the chairman, LC1, and everyone at the community level. Because once there is a marriage in a society, believe it or not, there has to be a representative from the leadership.
But now we have
It could be
also had
religious leader or
anyone. So that means once they've started accepting such things without even questioning a parent's move, then there is a problem within that same
leadership.
locality.
when it comes to the marriages, teenage marriages, the reports say that most of these marriages are not actually legally recognized by the country, by the government. So you'll find that the parents will hush do a hush-hush wedding, maybe agree with the groom's family, receive a cow or some money, and the girl is sent off. But also there are reports that in some local communities, LC1 chairpersons are aiding these marriages. They're in on this scourge, which is really sad because they're supposed to be the custodians and protectors of children. So personally, I would suggest that if you see your neighbor or someone you know in the community trying to marry off a young girl, an underage girl, you see a border rider whom you know is above 18 or always hanging around with this girl that is 13, 12, 15, you need to put your head, for lack of a better word, into their business. Try to find out what are they doing. We need to do community policing at this rate, because this is the only way we are going to curb teenage pregnancies, especially in areas that are outside, let's say Kampala, because you see, when you go to an area like Bududa, you're going to find townships where everyone knows someone, right? And when we know each other, then we will be in each other's business, so we can easily do community policing.
And of course, even besides the community policing and everything, you see, once a child gets pregnant, though in most cases these weddings are only put in place,
they're not even
because
weddings.
okay, we could just call them you know, a forced kind of marriage setting, because in situations, why I mentioned the poverty part is a parent will realize my child is 16 years old, she's pregnant, and the other family, because they want to keep the image of you know, their name, you know, within community, they will accept to take the child and, you know, take on the responsibilities. Now, in most cases, because of poverty, the other or the parent to or the parents to the daughter will accept. Simply because they no longer want to have repercussions of everything. First of all, the burden of taking care of their grandchild has actually been taken off them, so they will accept entirely. But then they don't understand what they've put their child into. And again, it brings us back to how we're going to inform our children to abstain. I think abstinence is the best advice to give. Even during, you know, sex education, you know, however much we tell, you know, these boys or these young girls about the safe sex and everything, but abstaining has got this, is like Chantal mentioned, ideally if you do not have sex, you're not going to die. It's as simple as it gets.
So, Chantal, hold that thought. I would like our viewers to join this conversation. I'm sure you know a girl or girls that probably have gotten pregnant in your community, and would like to know how was that handled, and of course, was that a good move? I'm sure not. So we were asking a question this morning: what measures can government adopt to curb the escalating teenage pregnancy rates in the country? Please join this conversation. Would like to hear your conversation, because, or rather your opinion, because we have a saying in Uganda that omwana wa buli omu. So if you join us in this conversation, maybe the government could pick one or two things that they can adopt to ensure that girls are kept in school, but also that girls do not get pregnant at a very early age. Chantal, you wanted to say something.
The truth is, these things need work. And I don't know if people realize how much work needs to be done. So you talked about encouraging abstinence.
Yes.
And I highly advocate that we encourage abstinence every now and then. However, I hope we realize that there is a lot of work that needs to be put in. When you are telling someone about abstinence, at our age where we are now, and I'm going to say this on live television, we all know that abstinence is not an easy task.
But you're grown.
What I'm trying to say is, having that kind of understanding, then how do we help these people now understand what comes with abstinence. And they need to know that it's not an easy thing of, I'm going to wake up in the morning and be like, I will not do it. No, they have to understand that there will be hard days. What options can they put in place? The time the urge kicks in, what do you do? Who do you talk to? And then how do you exercise the self-control? You understand? How do you get into this person's mind for them to be able to stand firm and say, I am not going to do this because it's not the right time, because I'm not ready for the consequences, because this is not what I should be doing. You understand? So it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to require parents, it's going to require teachers, it's going to require the government, and each and every single person next to that child to make sure that they facilitate this process. The question here would be, are people ready to put in the work?
They have to get ready. There are things where you really don't have an option. If you want your children to have a good future, then you have to force yourself to get ready. But also, to add on what Chantal said, we talked about abstinence, self-control, reproductive health, but also our girls have to be taught that there is power in saying no, and that they have a right to say no. Because when you have conversations with many of these young women, or girls actually, they don't know that they can actually say no to sexual advances
and
from
it shouldn't
older
be a problem.
men. Yet these are the conversations parents and society are supposed to have with children, and tell them, report this person or come to me. Like, make yourself a safe space for the child to run to in case someone is making sexual advances at them. But most of these girls have no one to talk to. They're even embarrassed to even mention to an adult that so and so is trying to tell me to do A, B, C, D. So they go in blind, and they don't know, because they're made to feel like some of the practices we have in our society, like FGM, they're meant to make the girls ready for sex. Now, these practices usually occur around the age of 12, 13, 14, right? So around that age, you have told the girl that we are doing this so that you are ready to please your husband in future. You're like giving them a green light to go and engage in sexual practices. And when they get pregnant, you cannot come back and say that you did something wrong, because you started by initiating them into this mindset. But also Sonko, for you, from a man's perspective, do you think it's okay for no, let me rephrase that. What would you tell parents whose children have gotten pregnant regarding education? Should they take them back to school, or it's done for them?
Going back to school it is for me. But since I'm not a parent, at times I can't even,
You still have an opinion.
Yes, I do. But at times, when I sit down with most parents, they will tell you, at times parenting does seem easy from afar. When you get into it, things really change. But I think education is the way to go still, to me as a person, because I believe in careers. Everyone has a career. One thing I always advocate for is empowering the girl child at the same pace of empowering the boy child, in essence that if Sonko has a career to chase, that means Na Sonko can as well chase the same. So it is either way to support them in a world that if at all a circumstance like pregnancy comes in, of course, it is quite unfortunate for them. You have to put them into understanding that it was unfortunate to get pregnant at a young age, but then for your child to at least receive the better future that maybe you've fallen short of, get back to school, study, and prepare a better future for your child. Because if your school, if you come to, I've actually even seen government pushing these young girls to get back to school after giving birth.
Yes.
Because they know, however much we say that the world of employment has changed and the world of opportunities has changed to connections, but if you do not have papers at times, you may not even stand a chance if at all if at all there is an opportunity provided for you. So it's better for people to get back to school, because the more you get back to school, you get exposed again. You're actually having a lot to share with other people. In the long run, you realize you're creating a better future for them. So I believe even after the unfortunate circumstances hits this young girl or this teenage girl, parents should as well push them back to school. Not pushing, but advise them to get back to school, and also support them without criticizing them, because we even have available institutions that provide adult education. It may not be taking them back to primary, but it may be taking them to tertiary institutions that will give them a skill or,
yes.
or two. It's better that way for me.
Yeah, I also agree with you, because I believe that we need to have a mindset change when it comes to girls that have gotten pregnant. Yes, it is unfortunate that a young girl has become pregnant, but if you can afford it, or if there is a universal primary school in your area, a universal secondary school in your area, or if you can afford private education, take them back to school, because we know many people that unfortunately got pregnant at a young age, but because their parents supported them, they went back to school, and then they became responsible individuals that are now contributing to the growth of the country. If you didn't know, when children get pregnant and they do not continue with school, it actually affects the government's plans for human capital development. It means that, let's say 100,000 girls have joined a school in kindergarten in a given year. If of those 20,000 become pregnant, it means we have lost 20,000 people as far as human capital is concerned. And that means that it puts our country somewhere behind, because as other children in other countries are studying and becoming individuals in the society that are contributing to the development of the country, we have 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 that are out of the job market, meaning they will also be out of the money economy, and of course the vicious cycle of poverty will continue. And yet poverty has been raised as one of the reasons why girls get pregnant at an early age. Boys, do you know something so sad? A girl can't tell you, he bought me a Rolex.
Yeah, in some of these districts, yes.
He takes her to school for free on a border.
Yes.
It's as simple as it gets.
No, he bought pads of 2,500 shillings.
Wow.
You know, they utilize things parents can provide at the time.
Yes.
And they're good to go.
Wow, that is sad. Anyway, we have just a few minutes before we end this conversation, and I would like to know what Chantal's parting shots would be.
My parting shots would be, as the government is doing its best to put any solutions in place. I was reading about the Ugandan national adolescent health policy that the government has put in place, and the main goal is to emphasize adolescent health, the well-being and equity, and then try to help these these girls stay in school and all. But also we have USE, we have UPE, we have the laws that have been revised. We have I mean, the consent age was set to 18, and that should be enforced. We have seen laws that have also now they're trying to tighten the laws on defilement and rape and all that. So in this case, as government is making its efforts, let's go back to the core, the foundation. As families, what are we doing to help these kids of ours? While the government is having all these programs being put in place, the government cannot reach every single individual. But we who are on the ground, we who are raising these children, we who are neighboring these children, what are we doing about it to help reduce this? It's joint effort. It cannot be only for the government.
Yeah, charity begins at home. So you start from your homestead by having these conversations with your child, by talking to your boys about the consequences of their actions, and of course the girls themselves too. And here we will be joining the government into averting the escalating number of teenage pregnancies in the country. I have one comment comment from our social media, and this person says parents should focus especially on girls than boys, teaching them about the danger of early marriage or pregnancies. Now, I agree parents have a role to play, but the focus should not only be on girls alone, because girls don't get themselves pregnant. We need to have the conversation with both children. If you have both genders, sit them down and have these conversations with them together, so that because you know, when we don't talk to boys about teenage pregnancies, we are also developing or growing men that will not take responsibility in future, and later on it won't be teenage pregnancies. We will be having broken homes. We will be having children being raised by single moms because we didn't put focus on the boy child as well. Sonko, what would be your parting shot in 30 seconds?
My parting shot will be, we need to have these men accountable. Why I'm using the men is because I do know for sure that it is so sad, but I may be right that teenage girls are more sexually active than the teenage boys in most of the areas in the country, because you get to realize that these teenage boys are already scared of the outcome in most cases, because they do know the repercussions. But because these men above 20 years, why I use above 20 years, are already in the world out there, so for them they know how to deal with anything. For them, they know the abortion pills, they know every other method there is to prevent this from happening or to walk away from it without anyone noticing. So I think we need to have conversations with these men in society to let them know that this is not how to upbring a girl child.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation, and it continues online. If you've just joined us, we were wondering how government can, what measures the government can adopt to ensure that teenage pregnancies that are escalating in the country are brought down. So you can still share your opinions, because your opinion matters and it contributes to the development of our country. My name is Olive Monica Najima. We will take a short break and we'll be right back with traffic updates.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Hello, darling.
Hi, Granny.
What did you do this weekend?
Well, on Friday, I went on a science trip with my classmates to Windy to see the gorillas.
Then we watched the cup final in London.
Oh.
On Saturday, my friends and I met up to hunt some dragons again. Also, I taught the vacuum cleaner and the TV this new dance everyone's doing. They're really getting into it. And on Sunday, I went to bed watching the world from space. And you? Yeah, seriously, Granny.
With Airtel 5G's lightning-fast speeds and seamless connectivity, you won't believe what's next.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
My name is Atube Richard, a member of a group called Kanyope, located in Bungatira sub-county. This group started in 2008, but the Prelnol project started supporting us in 2009. The project has offered us training on farming, and the training we got has helped us immensely. We used to farm in a traditional way, planting a variety of crops. But when the team from Prelnor approached us, they asked us to choose particular seeds to grow which can yield very well in our area. We chose groundnuts and rice, which we are growing. With this kind of farming, the project also taught us how to sell as a group after finding a market. The support from the project has been so good to us.
The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, together with International Growth Center, will host the 7th High-Level Economic Growth Forum under the theme, Strengthening Uganda's Competitiveness to Foster Accelerated Economic Growth. The forum will take place on the 24th and 25th of August 2023 at Kampala Serena Hotel. The 7th EGF will focus on global economic development and economic growth in Uganda, domestic revenue mobilization, boosting exports and farm productivity, climate change and growth, as well as technology as a driver of productivity and growth. Key speakers of the forum include Oxford University Professor of Economic Policy Stephen Dacon, Honorable Matia Kasaija, the Minister for Finance, Ramadhan Gobi, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will be the chief guest. The 7th Economic Growth Forum will broadcast live on UBC TV and the Finance Ministry communication platforms with the hashtag #7EGFUG.
All right, good morning again, and many thanks for sticking to Good Morning Uganda. I am Jerome Paul Sonko. Before we go in for our traffic updates this morning, allow me to take you through what is making headlines from our locals in Uganda and as well coming in from the East African community from Tanzania and in Kenya. But revisiting what was making headlines from Uganda, the New Vision had the headline, Otafire questions car plates project. The minister says Russian farm non-existent as cost is too high, according to him. Then furthermore, tough guidelines for students on foreign scholarships, according to what the New Vision is highlighting today. Now, also elsewhere, Parliament MPs speak out on Sejirinya's medical bills as electricity fourth turbine switched on at Karuma. Then in the new curriculum, Senior 2 Biology, Senior 2 English and Senior 3 Entrepreneurship for the parents who are highly looking out for their students who are out for the holidays. Then also in the investigation, New Vision investigation, IGG probes OPM over 9.6 billion Ugandan shillings spent on the coffee shops. Now in business today, the business community protests new forex law. Now in the obituary, Sentongo redefined architecture in Uganda. There is a full story of that with the New Vision today. Now with the Daily Monitor as well, speaking of what is making headlines from our dailies in Uganda, the Daily Monitor highlights the carry your torture carry your torture cross as court tells General Kaihura. That is the headline with the Daily Monitor today. As in the perspective of homes, how to navigate shared spaces in co-housing communities. There's also a report of that as well. As in the other news, science head teachers get pay rise. The Daily Monitor brings you more of the detailed report as former ADF combatants and abductees acquire new skills. That is still with the Daily Monitor today. And in the other news, Otafire raises red flag over digital number plates. The Daily Monitor also gives you another report of the same. as bus strike leaves travelers stranded. You'll definitely get to see which bus and which travelers were stranded and which route were they trading to Plight. The Daily Monitor gives you more details in there. Now, moving on to the region or across the region with other dailies, the Daily Nation from Kenya gives you a headline of a fresh storm rocks stocks as the leader of opposition in Kenya, that is Raila Odinga, is at the lock with the president, William Ruto, in regards to a dialogue between the two, which is slated to be happening Friday. Now, in the Golden Faith, they bring you details of Faith Chipchogon banging Kenya's first gold medal, and also job scam. A report by Uasin Gishu County Assembly has indicated her farm as untouchable. As you can see, the headline in there. Now, TSC and teacher salary raise talks collapse. This is according to the Daily Nation in Kenya today. Now, furthermore, moving on to the Citizen newspaper in Tanzania, why it's tough for startups to commercialize operations. This is according to the Citizen, as the Bank of Tanzania outlines key measures to spur shilling rebound. Now, in the other news, Tanzania, Indonesia sign 7 pacts in strengthening of ties as TANESCO races to fix major power fault. Now, in the national discussions, calls mount for free polls commission. That is it with the Citizen newspaper today morning. I'm taking you back to Olive Najuma to give you more details in regards to the traffic updates, as I will return shortly to give you more from our forex rates as of close of business yesterday. Olive, what's with the traffic update today?
Well, with the traffic updates this morning, we will be picking it up from Seta right around the junction that takes you to Bukelere and then Sonde and then Namgongo Road if you're going to the areas of Ntinda. Now, starting from the Seta Trading Center around the area, the road that takes you to Bukelere, there is a little bit of traffic, but that is explained by the fact that, yes, this is a junction. So, yeah, there are cars coming through, going to Mukono, coming from Mukono, heading to Ginger Road, and of course others that are branching off at the Bukelere Road, going to the areas of Nsonde, Namgongo, Chanalia, Chaliwajala, and into Ntinda. So the traffic flow around this area looks good. So whoever is using this road or is planning to use this road, they have made a good choice. Though, of course, when you reach Sonde Goma Market, there is a little bit of traffic hold up there, but it's not worrying. So yeah, this is still a good route for you. But moving along Sonde Road, still you will find a little bit of traffic just after Total Energies in Sonde. There is a bit of traffic right around that corner that has stored villas Namgongo. But when you move ahead to Uganda Matters Seminary in Namgongo, the traffic flow there is moving pretty well. There is a bit of hold up here and there, but nothing worrying. But now when you move ahead to the area that has Janda Supermarket there on Namgongo Road, then there is some bit of traffic hold up there, and of course a little bit of red zones, meaning that the hold up there is a bit more intense than previously, but still from the look of things, it still doesn't look that bad. So you should be able to move as fast as you possibly can. Now, when we cross through the area of Chaliwajala and move along Nalia, then there, especially at the junction, which has roads that are coming from Namgongo Road, Kamuli Road, then from Chira side, there is traffic there, especially if you're going to Nalia side. You will be held up there because everyone is trying to maneuver and join one side of the road, especially especially the side that goes to Nalia Quality, around Quality Supermarket. So there you're going to be held up for a bit. Of course, there is a taxi stage there where cars park in the road and also create more of a problem in the area. But when you move ahead, you're going to find that the traffic flow continues pretty well, and you will find traffic again around the bypass roundabout. And yes, because I see some of that vehicles that are trying to access the bypass and go to the areas of Chiwatule, and of course join the areas of the bypass that go to Bukoto Chisasi side, causing this hold up there. But it is not so huge, so you should be able to continue in record time. And of course traffic along the bypass looks quite smooth, so you won't be held up there. Now when you move ahead after the bypass, as you head to Ntinda and Chiwatule, you will only find traffic around Sebowa Road, and of course that junction that comes from Chira, as cars are trying to join Ntinda, so you may be held up a bit there. And of course along Eliana Road, because roads like Cannon Road are joining through, and roads like Valley Road are also trying to connect to this old Chira Road as you move ahead. And then when you go past that, there is a smooth flow of traffic. You may find some traffic in Ntinda, the business center itself, and of course there is traffic that is coming in from Chisasi area around Jika Hotel as they join the main Ntinda traffic lights. But that should not hold you for so long, because traffic lights are, at least in that area of town, are working pretty well, so you won't spend so much time there. And someone yesterday was telling me that people that side of town actually follow traffic rules and drive very well. So if you stay that side of town, kudos, you should pat yourself on the back. Now take you back to Sonko to give you the forex rates as of this morning.
And right now back to our forex rates as of close of business, the 22nd of August 2023. That is yesterday evening, for those who are actually into buying before you go in to trade today. The US dollar as of yesterday morning was buying at 3,725 Ugandan shillings and selling at 3,735 shillings. Midday 3,724.75 and selling at 3,734.75, while closing was 3,721.46 and selling at 3,731.46. That is as of today morning. Now the Great Britain pound buying at 4,752.67. buying, that is at the time of closure, while selling at 4,765.44 shillings. Now the euros buying at 4,058.62 shillings, while selling at 4,069.53 Ugandan shillings as of close of business yesterday evening. Now the Kenyan shillings closing was at 25.78 shillings, while selling at 25.85 shillings. The Tanzanian shillings was buying at 1.48 Ugandan shillings, while selling at 1.48 Ugandan shillings. That is a drop of 1 point after it had closed at 1.49 shillings on Monday. Now the South African rand is closed at 196.46 shillings. That is buying, and then selling at 197.99 Ugandan shillings. Well, that's it for the GMU business update this morning. Coming up shortly is the GMU agenda with Robert Nyonyintono.
Of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, together with the International Growth Center, will host the 7th High-Level Economic Growth Forum under the theme, Strengthening Uganda's Competitiveness to Foster Accelerated Economic Growth. The forum will take place on the 24th and 25th of August 2023 at Kampala Serena Hotel. The 7th EGF will focus on global economic development and economic growth in Uganda, domestic revenue mobilization, boosting exports and farm productivity, climate change and growth, as well as technology as a driver of productivity and growth. Key speakers of the forum include Oxford University Professor of Economic Policy Stephen Dacon, Honorable Matia Kasaija, the Minister for Finance, Ramadhan Gobi, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will be the chief guest. The 7th Economic Growth Forum will broadcast live on UBC TV and the Finance Ministry communication platforms with the hashtag #7EGFUG.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso, every Wednesday live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact. And not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Bigirwa Kalisa Samuel is my name. Chief Administrative Officer, Kalio District Local Government. Kalio District currently runs a budget of 39 billion. So we basically implement central government funded projects and initiatives. There are a number of success stories we have registered over the past period, especially in health under UGIFT, that's the Uganda Intergovernmental Fiscal Transfer Project, where we built a 650 million health center 3 at Buyinda sub-county. It is a state-of-the-art project which is not likely to be elsewhere in the country. The other project we have to reckon with is the Bukamba City Secondary School, which we are going to commission very soon, costing about 1.9 billion Uganda shillings. And then we have also other projects in production and marketing under the Marketing Production and Marketing Grant. And these include the 4-acre model farm initiative of the President. We have fisheries, fish farming. So government has basically invested a lot of infrastructure, a lot of funding in infrastructure development, and these projects are starting to bear fruits. We are moving as a local government, implementing government programs, basically the NRM government manifesto of His Excellency the President.
In 2007, a team from Prelna came and they started teaching us how to farm. They began by teaching us about food security, where they educated us to grow cassava and also agribusiness.
This kind of farming, the project also taught us how to sell as a group after finding a market. The support from the project has been so good to us. Citizen Interaction Center, or GCIC, a unit under State House, is the key contact center between the Ugandan government and its citizens. It helps enhance the monitoring of service delivery by providing a channel for feedback and suggestions from citizens. With this mandate, GCIC set out to do a community outreach program throughout the country by visiting a wide range of government project beneficiaries and leaders to ascertain the impact government programs and projects have had on various communities across Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning and thank you for being with us on UBC TV. It is Good Morning Uganda agenda. Now just a quick reminder, this show starts every weekday from 6:30. So make the date with us every weekday 6:30 so that we brighten up your morning with a lot of jokes, light moments, but above all, very informative discussions that happen between us as we usher you into the day. Now all of us want to make it good in life. Every morning you wake up to go to work if you have a job, or you're praying to have a breakthrough so that you can have a job. Now some Ugandans choose to leave Uganda and go overseas and make money. That is not bad in any way, but some end up failing to get the jobs or the documentation that is needed to have them stay in that country. Others are trafficked. Some go as visitors and they get what is known as visitors' visas, but later decide to stay permanently in the hunt for greener pastures or unemployment. Now recently, it was revealed that we are having 59 Ugandans in Turkey. 5 of them are in detention centers. Of these, 57 are held overstaying beyond the visa period, while 2 Ugandans are accused of human trafficking and will be arraigned in court soon. Now, they left Uganda and this is what it is. But not only Turkey are we having this problem. Globally, many countries have reported that they have Ugandans that are on overstay. We saw the United Arab Emirates. One time we had so many Ugandans in Dubai, not that they are no longer there, who are on overstay, and it was very hard. They were crying. They were all over the media saying, we want to return home. Help us get back home. And some indeed were helped to come back home. Now, this morning, Internal Affairs, and of course this is where the Immigration Department lies, where you go to get your passport, where if you're leaving the country, everything starts from there. That is Monday Simon Peter, with whom we want to look at Ugandans stranded overseas. What is government's take on this issue? Simon, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Robert. Good morning, viewers, and glad to be home. UBC is home, and I think ever since the year started, this should be the 6th time I'm here. So I call this home, and I'm glad to be here with you this morning. Yes.
This time you're just a bit different because usually you have your uniform, the
in
pips
combat,
and all that in combat, but today
sometimes you have to look a bit different to surprise some people. Yeah, so today is one such a day when I decided to look a little different.
A little different. Yeah. How is work? Is the DNA burden now lessened? Someone was telling me, that man, whenever I see him, what comes to my mind is DNA.
I have had troubles when I move out of Kampala, especially I recently we were in Soroti, and when I try to buy something in the supermarket, the ladies over there will say, DNA, DNA, this man is DNA. Everybody was calling me DNA in the supermarket, on the streets and everywhere. They associate me with DNA. I was laughing it off. But, the DNA matter, of course, it went off the radar, but of course, quietly, people are doing the thing. People are doing the needful.
Well, I don't want to open a can of worms this morning when you talk about that, but let's go to this first and foremost. Let's understand, what does our immigration department do, Simon? Because these people leave Uganda and they end up getting stranded. What do you do?
Thank you, Robert. As the directorate that is charged with the responsibility of facilitating the legal entry and exit of the country. For us, our mandate as a directorate is concerned with ensuring that Ugandans who want to travel out of the country are facilitated with travel documents to do so. And then we also ensure that non-Ugandans coming to the country also do so legally and continue to stay here legally. So we, of course, most of these Ugandans who leave the country, they do not tell us reasons why they are going, although some few have been going on account of looking for a job here and there. But most of these leave the country as tourists, going to tour several of those places, because for sure they know that if you wanted to visit a country like Turkey, the one you are talking about, it will be very difficult for you to live here under the pretext that you are going to get a job in that place. So what people do, to easily get a visa, you will go and lie around. I want to go and visit Turkey as a tourist, then spend there maybe probably 1 or 2 months and return. Those visas are easy. There are 3 categories of Ugandans who visit Turkey. I'm going to zero on Turkey because this is where the problem has come out. One, they are businessmen and women. You know, Turkey has plenty of these. Is good in the textile garments and stuff like that. So people normally go to Turkey, especially when it became difficult that time during COVID with restrictions in China and stuff like that. People used to go to Guangzhou a lot of our business people. But when COVID came in and China tightened entry restrictions and putting in here conditions, so people opted to start going to Turkey, because that was the alternative of China. So very many Ugandans have been going there under that group. Then the second one, of course, are tourists. There are those who go there to visit the country for pleasure. That is another group. But of course, those are few. Then the third group are these people who go to look for jobs. There are people who go there to look for jobs. They want to make a living in that part of the world. But also, we have another smaller group of these who go there to do to get medical treatment, because we have been told that Turkey is one of those very good centers for cancer management. So quite a number of Ugandans have been going there to get cancer treatment. So those are the 4 types of Ugandans that have been trekking to Turkey. Now, these ones who have been held, the 59, it came about, I think, last week, 2 weeks ago. The authorities over there, immigration, carried out an operation, of course, to, like we always also do here in Uganda.
Sure, do we do those operations?
We do a lot of operations.
How often?
We always do, only that we are not in the media.
Because I see potential people who would be either deported or in detention centers that are illegally in Uganda.
Now the problem with our Ugandans here, they think that every person with a white skin must leave the country is illegal, but we have quite a number of these people who are Ugandans.
Along Martin Road, even cutting hair. They
are Ugandans. Some of them have become Ugandans.
Some selling pancakes, some selling these niggas. But did you get a work permit?
I don't want you to think that every white-skinned or curly-haired person is a non-Ugandan. Some of these have lived here legally for quite some time, and now they have become citizens over time. Because the law says, after staying here 10 years legally, you can go ahead and apply for citizenship, and you are granted so. So we have plenty of Indians in town, former Indians, I should say, because they were given citizenship. Then there are those who have double citizen, dual. They are citizens of, say, America and citizens of Uganda. So these ones enjoy almost 90% of the same rights any other Ugandan would enjoy, save for politics. So they are here. You find them also doing all these jobs of selling shops, maybe opening salons and supermarkets and stuff like that. Yeah. But we have been very actively involved in carrying out operations to find out who lives here illegally. And I can tell you that we have been deporting them. Every week, on average, we deport about 10, 12 in that range. So, but because we don't,
every week,
yes,
10,
we don't,
12 that are illegally staying in this
country. Yes,
that is done by this country.
I think 1 month ago we were in Kabalagala. You must have had a storm over there, and where we raided the place and got these prostitutes who had come from Nepal and India. They were selling themselves from here and doing Chimasolo. We arrested them at night, took them to court, and of course after we deported them. So we have been carrying out those operations. The only thing is that whenever we do those operations, we have not been going to the press. We don't go with you people to the field to arrest those people. So we have been doing it, but behind the press. But we keep, even we have our own legal detention center where we keep these people. After arresting them, we investigate and find out who is he. Some of them, of course, may be found working without a passport, but afterwards they produce a passport with a valid work permit, and those ones are let to go. Then, of course, there are those who have been coming in as visitors, and when they reach here, because Uganda is a nice country, they now venture into other businesses. Those are arrested, sometimes fined, and then after they are deported back to their countries. Then we have those, the notorious ones. After staying here for some time, they start conniving with some brokers. They now want to acquire our facilities like passports, like national ID. Those ones, of course, over time we have been also arresting them. Recently, we arrested some Nigerians, Congolese, who were attempting to get our passports. They come here, they learn the culture. Some of them speak very good Luganda, and if you speak to them, you may think they are sons of Kavaka. Exactly, because they know they have been here for quite a long time, but they are not Ugandans. And they now know a one Robert, a one George, a one Michael, who is a Ugandan, and they know what happens at immigration. They know when you go there, they will ask you for your parent and stuff like that. So they were into this habit of hiring parents. Somebody goes to town and hires a father. But when they come to immigration, we have always arrested this because we have our ways of getting them. Sometimes you ask the father, what's the name of your son? He can't say.
Those interviews, their questions are so predictable.
Yeah, yes.
So predictable, so you can maneuver. If I know I'm going to go there, they're going to ask me my tribe, my parents. You're so predictable. And
but then, even if we ask you for a tribe, we don't normally just stop at that. If we are suspicious, we shall go deeper. Okay. We shall ask you for a tribe, we shall ask you for your kabiro, your totem, like for the case of Uganda. I'd ask you a few other basic questions, really, and you will tell that this person is not a Ugandan. And over time, we have arrested these people. And I can assure you for sure that right now, it is not easy to acquire a Ugandan passport if you are not a citizen. It is an uphill task. So what we are doing, we have instituted a very, very, very serious team on the ground at the passport office. This team is comprised of staff from all backgrounds from Uganda. We have Karamajongs, we have people from the west, people from the east. So if you come saying you come from Karamoja, we subject you to a team of Karamojong officers who are well grounded in those Karamojong ways of living, the norms, the cultures, and beliefs of Karamojong. So what, they'll ask you one or two things, and they will know whether you are Ugandan or not. We have also some Kenyans in the east who were pretending, I think 2 weeks ago, that they were Ugandans. But we have our ways of getting them, even without asking you a question. By just simply looking at you and looking at certain features, I will know that Robert is not a Ugandan.
Well, let's go back to that Turkey thing, because when some of us may not be may look differently from Ugandans. I remember when I first went there, those days I had long hair. Yeah. The officer disturbed me and he was saying I'm not.
It was looking like a...
you know that, but that is for another day.
Okay.
Where mistakenly sometimes people think I'm that. But
okay.
Now going back to this, you said you've given us how these Ugandans leave Uganda, but now we know they are stranded and they end up calling upon our country to help them.
Yes.
There's a time we had Ugandans in China who are facing death row,
yes,
but still they came back to government.
Yes.
Help us, we are stranded. And for you, as long as someone has legal documents, you're good to go. You are Ugandan, you have a passport, you have a visa from the other side, you're good to go. You don't go beyond questioning, okay, but what are you going to do, how much? When you look at Dubai today, after having these issues, if you don't have 5 million, you don't exit. So where do you come in? Or are these Ugandans on their own?
We support most of these Ugandans, and actually I would like to use this opportunity that I'm here to call upon those Ugandans who are stranded in Ankara, that is Turkey capital, to report to the embassy. The ambassador there, I saw in the social media, she was talking of giving them support. But support in terms of documents. Some of these, when they went with the old passports, they went underground. Some of these have never registered at the embassy doesn't know them. When they reach there and they move, and Turkey does not extend this tourist visa. It gives 90 days, and that is it. After 90 days, you are required to come back if you are on a tourist visa. Now, for them, after 90 days, of course, they went undercover. They went underground and started
looking for
employment. So when they were caught, they first of all feared to go to the embassy, to let the embassy know that they were vital, because they knew that if they went to the embassy would organize for their return. But of course, also, the Turkish immigration authorities fine you if you go there and overstay your visa. For each illegal day you stay in Turkey, you pay a fine. Yes, like all other countries, including Uganda. If you stay here, you pay $30 every illegal day you stay in Uganda. Yes. So also they feared the payments, they feared the deportation, so they remained undercover. I am pretty sure that they may not only be 59. There are so many who are living in fear, who are hiding in those places where they stay. So many. I recently went to China, and while in Beijing, some Ugandans told me that they interested me into going to check on some of the Ugandans who were in prison. So when we went there, we found that most of them were young, the youth, young people, and they went there on a visitor's visa. So upon expiry of the visa, they opted to remain doing some odd jobs in China. In China, you can survive if you have some energy to do some work. So they remained there. Now, when the authorities, of course, landed on them, they arrested them. So they're in prisons, they're on overstay. Government cannot come and say that because you have overstayed your visa, so therefore we are going to talk to the other government to enable you to continue working there legally. No, that one will not happen. The only support is to enable them get travel document to return home, because most of these we have realized that even the 59, the ones who have been arrested in Turkey, most of them still have all the passports, the ones we phased out. So we call upon those Ugandans who still hold those old black passports to report to the embassy for one, safety, two, support in terms of acquiring those documents. If Turkey has failed, please don't insist. If life has failed there, get a document from the embassy. The embassy is willing to give you a document, and also to offer psychosocial support to these people, because you know there are people, they go there looking for jobs, and now jobs have failed, they have been arrested, they need that support. So they counsel them, they talk to them, say life is not only there, it can also be acted back home. So they are given that psychosocial support in terms of advice, in terms of guidance, and then later on are given documents to return home. So of those who were arrested, only 6, I think that's the number I got, only 6 have the new passports. The rest have old documents. And I'm sure there are so many who are undercover with those old passports, because first of all, they have not returned. Ever since we changed the passports, they haven't returned to Uganda to change the passports. 2, in Turkey, we do not have a passport center there. So for them to be able to change passport, they were either required to come back here or to send their documents through the embassy, because the embassy had to give a recommendation letter that Robert is a Ugandan living and working in Turkey. No, now they don't have those. They are living there illegally with all the passports, without money, without job. They are so distressed. So my appeal is to ask them to come out of hiding, to report to the embassy and get that support. About the 59, I was told they are supposed to pay fines. Of course, they have lived there illegally. They have gone beyond their visa. But I think I saw the ambassador is attempting to maybe to talk to immigration authorities over there to waive the fine, so that these people can return home. There's no other support I can tell Ugandans out there that maybe they will give money, they will give ticket or what. No. What happens is these people, when they are leaving the country, they don't tell the government that they are going to work. One, they say they are going to visit. Secondly, when they reach over there, they never register at the embassy. There are very few who that the embassy
What is
knows.
the relevance of registering with the embassy?
To
because
know.
I believe when I'm leaving this country and I clearly state where I'm going, government of Uganda knows.